Hello, and welcome to another edition of Coffee Talk with immigration attorney Brian D. Lerner. In this particular episode, I'd like to talk about the impression on certain facets of what Trump has been doing when entering the United States. Now, I know that he used the term extreme vetting on multiple occasions and now actually incorporated that into his executive orders. And while the travel ban itself has essentially been struck down, and whether they want to appeal that to the U.S. Supreme Court or not, or to do petitions for rehearing en banc, that'll be up to them. But Rex Tillerson, the Secretary of State, has issued various memos which are meant to implement the procedures that will go forward in the extreme vetting in order to ensure, in accordance with what they're saying, uh, that no terrorists or people who want to do harm to the U.S. are able to come in. So, given the extreme vetting now that people who, for example, have non-immigrant visas will go through to come here, there's a lot of people who are calling my office and essentially saying, "Oh, our H-1B's dead. Are we ever going to be allowed in the country again? They have an E2 or an L1 or an O1 or a P1. It goes on and on. It's like alphabet soup, and they're wondering if they're not going to be able to come in anymore. And the answer is you will be able to. The extreme vetting may require that a couple things. One, that there's definitely going to be an in-person interview, where in some instances, in some occasions, there used to be a waiver of the interview and the visa was issued without an interview, which, honestly, that's fine. And then for background checks and procedural hurdles that have to be completed. Those may be a little more onerous than it used to be, which is also fine. So, if it takes you a tad bit longer in order to get here in the U.S. With your particular visa, let's just say you have an H-1B, then that is what it is. And you'll be able to come here. There's no laws that are limiting any further the number of non-immigrant visas that are allowed to come in. There's no laws which are taking non-immigrants and work visas and investment visas off the books. It's just a matter of doing a more of the quote extreme vetting to ensure that everybody that comes in the United States is legitimate. And so, you just have to follow the procedures and do what's necessary. Now, if with the extreme vetting things get held up, and they get held up to a point that is not reasonable, and that no decision has been made, and that you are sitting outside the United States, for example, with an approved E2 or approved H-1B, and the consulate just says they are doing extreme vetting or an administrative review, and 6 months pass or more, or whatever the situation is, and you still don't have an answer, then it would be possible to essentially bring a lawsuit to against Department of State, do a writ of mandamus, such that it would force them to make a decision whether or not to allow you in or not. If they're not going to allow you in because their extreme vetting found something that indicates that they shouldn't let you in, well, then they need to let you know. They need to either deny it, or they need to ask for more evidence, or so forth. You can't just be left in limbo forever. There's a duty on immigration, whether it's Department of State, USCIS, Department of Labor, BALCA, so on, to make a decision in a reasonable time period on an application that's put in front of them. That's required by the law. And if after a reasonable time no decision has been made and it seems to be in the black hole of administrative review, then you do have options available for you. But don't despair. All the immigrant visas and non-immigrant visas are still there. You might have to go through a couple extra hoops and so forth to come in, But don't think that Trump has denied issuing of those visas, because that couldn't be possible. I mean, they are the law. There's so many in different categories allowed. For example, H-1Bs, which if you are thinking of getting an H-1B, let's see, you have 3 days to get everything filed, at least for the next fiscal year. And by the way, if you can't do that and you think you qualify for an H-1B, a backup might be the O-1. Okay, there's lots of people who might qualify for the O-1 in lieu of the H-1B. So if you like the video, click like, subscribe. If you have questions about the extreme vetting, give my office a call. I'll be happy to let you know more what it's about and how it might affect you and what you still would qualify for under the Immigration Nationality Act. Okay, more on the coming videos.